Good morning, everyone. Once again, this is Class 8C, CKC Academy, and we are starting with the fourth chapter of our syllabus, metals and non-metals. And those who are not able to join in this meeting, for the information, this lecture is getting recorded, which will be shared with you later on, so that you can access this lecture. Let us begin with metals and non-metals. Dear students, you might be familiar with a number of materials like copper, iron, aluminium. These we see in our houses, utensils made of iron, copper, aluminium. But can you name the materials which are metals? Yes, of course we can name. Most of them we identify. Only a few might be there which we might have not seen, like sodium and other metals which we may not identify if they come in front of us. Metals can be distinguished from non-metals on the basis of the physical and chemical properties. So there are metals and there are non-metals, and you can distinguish between these two on the basis of the physical and the chemical properties. So what are the physical properties and what are the chemical properties we will be covering up in the coming slides. Physical properties are like you see the shining nature of the metal. The metals are very shining in nature, but there are exceptions in this also. Then metals conduct electricity. Then there's an exception in this also. We'll be covering up all these things. Then metals produce a clinking sound. So these are all the physical properties. Then there are chemical properties, like whether they are acidic in nature or they are basic in nature. Moving next. You know that the shape of the iron nail and the aluminium wire changes on beating. If you take an iron nail and you start beating with a hammer, you will see that there's a change in shape. If they were beaten harder, these could be changed into sheets. You have seen iron sheets are available. You have seen iron sheets available in the hardware stores. You might be familiar with silver foil used for decorating the sweets. The sweets that are available in the market on the festive occasions and otherwise, you might have seen that they are decorated with silver type of stuff. You must also be familiar with the aluminium foil that we use for wrapping the food. We wrap our food in aluminium foils, tin foils. This property of the metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. This property of the metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability, and it's a physical property. This is a characteristics of metals. As you have noticed, materials like coal and pencil lead do not show these properties. If you take a piece of coal, and you start beating it, you won't be able to see that it is reduced into a thin sheet. Moving next, let us do a simple activity. Take a small iron nail, a coal piece, a piece of thick aluminium wire, and a pencil lead, and you start beating them out of hammer. But take care that you do not hurt yourself in the process. You can try this at home, but you have to do it very with precautions. You try it hit it hard, also the aluminum wire. Then repeat the same kind of treatment on the coal piece and the pencil lead and record your observations. When you record your observations, you will find this. You saw that the shape of the iron nail and the aluminum wire changed. And we call this property as malleability. We call it as malleability. If they were beaten harder, these could be changed into sheets. You might be familiar with the silver foil used for decorating the sweets. You must also be familiar with the aluminum foil that is used for wrapping the foods. And the property of the metal by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. This is a property, physical property of metals, and we did not find this in coal or pencil lead. So this is the first property, physical property, by which you can distinguish metals from non-metals. And this property is called malleability. I hope this malleability is clear to you. Moving next, the next property that we have to study is conductivity. Again, this is a physical property of metals. Can you hold a hot metallic pan which is without a plastic or a wooden handle? You might have seen the cooking utensils that are available in our houses, the pressure cookers, they are all fitted with insulated handles so that we can hold them properly and we may not hurt ourselves, we may not get burnt. Try to list some other experiences in which wooden or plastic handles protect you from being hurt. On the basis of these experiences, what you can say is that it is heat that we are protecting the heat by putting these wooden handles and plastic handles. You might have also seen electricians wearing rubber gloves and holding screwdrivers which are having plastic handles. Okay. This is because metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Metals conduct heat and electricity very well. So when we are handling metals and we are treating hot things with metals, we have to take precautions and we have to put insulated handles so that we may not get burnt. Moving next, let us do an activity. You know how to make an electric circuit. We have done all of us have done it. Take a small battery, AA battery, take a LED bulb and make this type of circuit. And what you have to do is you have to put an iron nail in between. You have to put an iron nail here and you have to join the circuit. When you will join the circuit, what will be your observation? You know that how to make an electric circuit to test whether electricity can pass through an object or not. We have performed the activity with various objects. Now repeat this activity with materials. Observe and group these materials into good conductors and poor conductors. Observation. You observe that the iron rod, the nail, the copper wire are all good conductors, while rolled sulfur piece and coal are poor conductors. If you replace this iron nail with something else, say for example a coal piece, a wooden piece, you will find that they are poor conductors of electricity. Through this we can come to know that which of the metals are poor conductor and which of the metals are good conductors. The best conductor of electricity is gold and silver, but we cannot have wires of gold and silver, so we prefer wires of copper. That is why we have copper wires. Earlier we used to have copper wires, but again the copper wires get, when the copper wires get heated up, they have a low melting point. And now we have replaced those copper wires. You might have seen overhead wires hanging in the streets. So we have replaced those copper wires with aluminum wires. Nowadays we see all the electrical connections from the pole to the house are made through aluminum wires. So aluminum, copper, gold, silver, these are all metals and they are all good conductors of heat and electricity. I hope this property is clear to you, and this property is called as conductivity of metals. Heat and electricity. Moving next, we have another important physical property of metals that we call as ductility. What is ductility? Where do you find these use of aluminum and copper wires? Have you seen wires of coal? Definitely not. The property of the metal by which they can be drawn into thin wires and long wires is called ductility. So this is ductility when you are able to draw, stretch the metals into long wires. This is called ductility. We'll move on to the next property, physical property, that is sonorousness. You have been to temples, churches, you have seen large, huge bells, gongs hanging in those places. They are made of metals. Why they are made of metals? Because they produce a clinking sound. Let us see this. The things made of metals produce a ringing sound or a clinking sound when they are struck hard. Since metals produce ringing sounds, they are said to be sonorous. Have you seen wooden bells in the temples? No. So these are the two properties that we have, physical properties: ductility, sonorousness. Before this, we have studied conductivity and malleability. Let us see this. After performing the above activities, we can say that some materials are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, and good conductors of heat and electricity. These are all physical properties of metals. They are hard, they are lustrous, they are malleable, they can be drawn into thin sheets, they can be drawn into wires, they produce a clinking sound, and they all are good conductors of heat and electricity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If somebody asks you what are the properties, physical properties of metals, And these are the physical properties of metals. The materials which are generally possess these properties are called metals. The examples of metals are the following: iron, copper, aluminium, calcium, magnesium, etc. In contrast, materials like coal and sulfur are soft and dull in appearance. So non-metals are soft and they are dull. They break down into powdery mass on tapping with a hammer. They are non-sonorous and they are poor conductors of heat and electricity, except few exceptions like graphite and other things. Like metals are hard, but mercury is a metal. I'll tell you the exceptions. Metals are hard, but mercury is a metal, but it is liquid in nature. Then iodine is a non-metal, but it is shiny in nature. It's lustrous. Similarly, graphite is a non-metal, but it is a poor conductor of. It is a good conductor of electricity. The pencil lead, it's made of graphite. You should never insert a pencil into the electrical socket. It's a good conductor of electricity. You may get an electric shock. The following are the examples of the non-metals: carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur. These are all non-metals. Moving next. Now we will move on to the next section, that is the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So what we have studied so far, we have studied the following properties: physical properties of metals. What are those? They are hard, they are lustrous, they are malleable, they are sonorous, they are ductile. What else? And they are conductors. And they are conductors of heat and electricity. In this we have studied. Hard, lustrous, malleable, sonorous, ductile, conductors of electricity. Now let us see the chemical properties of the metals and the non-metals. The first one in this is reaction with oxygen. So you might have seen that if you are having iron gates in your house, they are painted with lead oxide. They are painted with paint. Why it is done so? So that we can avoid the contact with oxygen. When they react with oxygen, they get rusted out. Let us see this in great detail in the coming slides. You are familiar with the phenomenon of rusting of iron, जिसको हम हिंदी में जंग लगना बोलते हैं. You had learned that both the processes oxide formation takes place. Let us do a small activity. Let us check the nature of the rust formed as a result of reaction between iron, oxygen and water. So by now it is clear to you that we call it this is a topic of study. So what you have to do is you have to take a test tube, you have to fill it with water, okay, and then you have to put some iron nails into it, and you will find within few days that rust is formed, it is suspended. You will insert a red litmus paper into it, and you will find the observation. What is the observation? This is the activity. Collect a spoonful of rust and dissolve it in a very little amount of water. थोड़ा सा जंग ले लेना है और उसको पानी में घोल देना है. The rust will remain suspended in water. Shake the suspension well. Test the solution with red and blue litmus paper and see what happens next. This is the observation. You must have observed that the red litmus turns blue. What this shows that the oxide of iron is basic in nature. This is our observation. The oxides of iron is basic in nature. So this is our observation. Metallic oxides are basic in nature. Moving next. Let us do another activity and should not be done at home. Take a small amount of powdered sulfur in a spoon, deflagrating. It is called as a deflagrating spoon, and you have to heat it. And if you do not have a deflagrating spoon, you take a metallic cap of any of the bottles, medicine bottles, and tie it with a metallic wire. Okay, a tilted spoon is called as a deflagrating spoon. A spoon like this is called as a deflagrating spoon. Something like this. This is a deflagrating spoon. Next, what you have to do in this, as the sulfur starts burning, introduce a spoon into the jar or a glass tumbler. Cover the tumbler with a lid to ensure that the gas produced do not escape. Remove the spoon and add some water quickly and shake the tumbler well. Check the solution with the red and the blue litmus paper. Read this once again. When the sulfur gas starts burning, the fumes are ejected into the glass tumbler. Remove the spoon, cover the glass tumbler, add some water, turn it upside down, and then the solution is prepared. Let us see what are our observations. This is the figure. This is a deflagrating spoon. If you do not have a deflagrating spoon, you prepare one at your home with a metallic cap and a wire. You burn the sulfur into this glass tumbler and add some water into it. Put it upside down and then put this water into a petri dish and do some test using red and blue litmus papers. Let us see the observation. The name of the product formed in this reaction is sulfur dioxide. And when the sulfur dioxide is dissolved in water, it produces sulfurous or sulfuric acid. Sulfur dioxide plus water gives us sulfurous acid H2SO3, and these are, because sulfur is a non-metal, the observation is it will turn blue litmus red and it will not show any results on the red litmus. Red litmus is for the basic solutions, blue litmus is for the acidic solutions, and finally the finding is non-metals are acidic in nature. So I'm running short of time. I'm having less than 1 minute. If you have any doubts, you can ask me on WhatsApp. Through WhatsApp, you can ask me your doubts. These are the two things. Thank you all for joining and have a good day. Thank you all once again.